Fighting in Syria is escalating as rebels and Islamist fighters close in on Hama, aiming to weaken Assad's forces after capturing Aleppo's airport. Russia, Assad's main ally, is providing air support, but their heavy involvement in Ukraine raises doubts about Moscow's ability to sustain its influence in Syria. Russian military resources are stretched thin, and some troops have even been pulled from Syria to fight in Ukraine. Meanwhile, scenes of devastation and loss are unfolding in Idlib following intense airstrikes by Russian and Syrian forces. This conflict could reshape alliances in the region, especially with Turkey and Iran playing significant roles. Turkey, with its control over certain rebel groups, seems to be gaining influence, while Iran's support for Assad appears to be weakening. What will this mean for Syria and the wider geopolitical landscape? Only time will tell, but it's clear that the situation is rapidly evolving. South Korea is in turmoil after President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law, only to reverse it just hours later under immense pressure from lawmakers and public protests. Thousands took to the streets of Seoul, outraged at what many see as a shocking return to authoritarian practices. The National Assembly quickly rejected Yoon's decision, forcing him to back down. Critics believe the move was an attempt to consolidate power, as Yoon's popularity has plummeted due to corruption scandals and ongoing public dissatisfaction. Opposition parties are now calling for his resignation or impeachment, and even members of his own party have criticized his actions. With protests growing and his political support crumbling, it seems Yoon's position is becoming increasingly unstable. What happens next is anyone's guess, but tensions are rising as South Koreans demand accountability. Stay tuned for updates on this developing story. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more updates on global events. The situation in Syria has taken a dramatic turn. In a lightning offensive, opposition fighters have captured Aleppo, Syria's second-largest city, with minimal resistance from Assad's forces. This is a huge blow to President Bashar al-Assad, who retook the city with Russian and Iranian support in 2016. The government still controls much of the country, but this loss raises serious questions about Assad's grip on power and the role of key allies like Iran, Russia, and Hezbollah, who are stretched thin with other conflicts. The offensive comes amid years of a stagnant civil war, as millions of Syrians remain displaced and living in dire conditions. The attacks have forced thousands more to flee, adding to the humanitarian crisis. What happens next is uncertain. Will this lead to more escalation, or could it force the warring sides back to negotiations? If you found this update insightful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more updates. South Korea is in the middle of a political storm after President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law late last night in a shocking move. He claimed it was necessary to protect the country from so-called communist forces. This declaration immediately sparked outrage, with protests erupting outside the National Assembly and opposition lawmakers taking swift action to demand a reversal. Within hours, the Assembly, including members of Yoon's own party, voted to lift martial law. While the military initially said the decision would remain, the pressure on Yoon is growing rapidly. His popularity has plummeted due to corruption scandals and dissatisfaction with his leadership. Many believe this declaration was a desperate attempt to distract from his unpopularity and consolidate power. Protests are expected to intensify in the coming days as the nation grapples with this unprecedented situation. Stay tuned for updates as this story develops. Don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more updates on global events. Big changes are unfolding in Syria tonight, with Aleppo, the country's second-largest city, falling into rebel hands for the first time in a decade. This marks a major setback for Bashar al-Assad, a key ally of Vladimir Putin, who is already stretched thin with the war in Ukraine and other global conflicts. The rebels caught Assad's forces by surprise, toppling statues and taking over key areas. In response, Russia reportedly launched airstrikes, highlighting just how volatile the situation is. At the same time, protests in Georgia against its pro-Putin government are adding more pressure on Moscow. Putin's military is already facing strain, with increased spending, high casualties in Ukraine, and now challenges in Syria. This raises critical questions. Can Assad hold on to power? And how will Putin manage these simultaneous crises? If you find this update helpful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates.